Today's video is on Bob Aronsen. Bob is introduced in Tall Tales Volume 1 as one of Laurie's friends. He meets Madison. Through Madison, he meets Charles. He ends up dating Charles. He sticks around after Laurie has left the story and after other people that are connected to her have gone because they don't have any further connection to Madison and his group. Bob, for his part, is actually very interested in what Madison and Rick and them get up to. He's actually very curious about the supernatural. He takes an interest in the paranormal. He starts hearing these things and starts finding out that some of it is probably true, and so he starts getting invested. He wants to know more. He wants to explore more. But of course, he's with Charles, who is not interested in diving too deep into that, and so this becomes a bit of a strife between them. We don't see a whole lot of that strife within Tall Tales. There is a few references to them kind of clashing over views on this and how invested they want to be in the supernatural and how much Charles wants Bob to be bringing the supernatural into their relationship. There isn't a whole lot to say beyond that about Bob, except I want to get into some spoilers. And so I will say this much real quick, and then there's going to be a warning. Bob is around for the first two volumes of Tall Tales. By the end of Volume 2, he has reason to believe that Madison and Jackie are aware of things that have happened that are very upsetting to him, some of which involves the death of his friend, Mark, and the loss of his friend, Laurie. And so, in the last time we see him in Volume 2, he and Charles are both very mad at Madison about how some of this stuff is played out. They confront Madison, they confront Jackie, and ultimately they cut ties. They demand that Madison and Jackie not talk to them anymore, and they leave, and they actually leave the story. Bob does not appear in Volumes 3, 4, or 5. He's completely out of the books as far as that's concerned. Now, whether you're going to continue watching this video or not, I would encourage you to check out more of Bob's story at talltalesuf.com and see some of the stuff that he's getting involved in and how he's interacting with it. However, there's more stuff I'm working on for Tall Tales. What I'm going to talk to you about now is a project called Voice from Another Room. This is in the planning stages. There's still some work going on with it. I'm not entirely sure exactly the mode I want it to be. The original plan was that Voice from Another Room was going to be a fiction podcast following what Bob was doing after leaving the main body of Tall Tales. But my wife is a software developer, and her actual training, her schooling, is in video game development and programming. And so this has actually been floated as an idea that we're exploring right now, which is making Voice from Another Room a video game instead. What Voice from Another Room actually does is it follows Bob after he leaves the main story of Tall Tales. And where it follows him is that he decides to start investigating more of this on his own. See, like I said, he knows that Madison and Jackie know a lot more about what happened to Laurie and Mark and other people than they're letting on, than they're telling him and Charles. And he's not comfortable with the idea of just cutting those ties and then calling that a day and accepting that this is just the world he lives in now. He wants to know what's going on. He wants to know how it's happening, and he wants to know what to do about it. So he goes on an investigation of his own. And this investigation brings him into contact with a group called the Blind Guides. I'm going to explain the Blind Guides in another video. I'll add them to the list, and I'll make sure to get to them at some point. But they investigate the supernatural as well. They have a much more defensive mindset towards it, though. The first appearance of the Blind Guides in Tall Tales canon is the short story The Blind Guides, which is a standalone story. It's not contained in any of the books. It is available, though, for purchase on my website and also on Amazon, but they also show up in Volume 3. They begin to actually appear within the main body of the story, here and there, as an investigative force, trying to understand the supernatural. Voice from Another Room follows Bob as he continues that investigation, as he starts leaning on resources like the Blind Guides, starts doing interviews, and then continues diving further into this, and it follows his story. Keep an eye out for more information on what's going to happen with Bob, on what's going to happen with Voice from Another Room. I will be letting you guys know once it's settled exactly what form it's going to take and how that's progressing. Thank you.